So recently, last month, I won the chess club championship at my local club that has really strong players from all ages, all strengths, and I was able to overcome the fact that I had a stroke 5 years ago and never played an over-the-board tournament game since then. But now I was able to set an example for my students to just actually go beyond the limitations, win every game, and win the championship.
Yeah, hey guys, this is Grandmaster Eugene Perelshteyn. Again, congrats on a beautiful tournament victory. I will be analyzing the games. Hopefully it's going to be very instructive. And this first game is a miniature victory. Black won this game in just 14 moves, which is really incredible. And of course, you're playing your favorite opening, the French defense. The French defense, I believe, is a great fighting opening. You're really trying to undermine white's center, which is based with this e4, d4 pawns. Usually white plays d4 on move 2, and d5 is a great way to undermine the center. White plays the advanced French, grabbing space, paralyzing this bishop, but it does give black sort of the green light to execute the Nimzovich strategy, which is undermining the base. And the base in this specific position is this d4 pawn. c5 is the goal. You want to trade these two pawns, weaken the e pawn, and black gets tremendous counterplay. So white plays quite a rare move, knight f3. It's only the second most popular move in the database. Vast majority of players prefer the move c3. And then you probably know your theory here. Knight comes to c6. Usually knight comes to f3. And then either bishop d7 or queen b6 with typical counterplay. So we're not going to stop too much and discuss the subtleties of the opening. I want to kind of go through each game and highlight the critical moments. So here is white's choice to play knight f3. Black can take on d4 or develop with knight c6. You took, which I think is a great idea. Takes knight c6, and already I believe black has no problems. So this is a very, very good opening. So knight takes, pawn takes, knight c3, knight e7. Okay, black has very nice pawn majority. At some point you're going to go there. The knight can go to g6 or f5. So that's why white puts the bishop on g5, trying to stop the development. Logical move, but of course it allows queen c7, setting up a very cool idea. Queen takes pawn, hitting the bishop and the king. And white walked right into this simple tactic. Bishop d3 is a blunder because of queen takes pawn. What could have white done differently? Perhaps f4 makes some sense. But here black has a really cool idea. Either knight f5, the idea h6 trapping the bishop, or similar knight g6. This bishop is not having that much fun on g5. So this is a blunder. Took on e5 with check. Bishop e3, and now very nice finish to the game. I love the concept of forks in chess. The bishop and the knight could be forked. There's also a pin, and now d4 will win the piece. It is actually vital to make a note that there's actually no tactics, because f4, the idea to hit the queen, that's what happened in the game. It seems like a good idea, right? If the queen leaves, let's say goes there or goes back, maybe white can fight. But the problem is the bishop is now unprotected, as we say, and that's pretty much game over. And I love the finish and touch, d takes c.
A 1700 player that I played him many times, and I won every time, but every time I played him, it was a long game, no easy games. So this is a really crucial second round play, and I knew that this was going to be a long game. It turned out to be a long game, but I was able to overcome him and win again in this tournament.
All right, let's take a look at this long game, and you see this is going to be what I call a positional squeeze. You're playing like a great master, and you take away space from your opponent. Little by little, black starts to run out of moves, and the game begins with knight f3, knight f6. This is called the symmetrical English. And after g3, g6, d4 is a great move to grab that space advantage. Black typically takes, what happened in this game, takes, and then bishops get developed, and then you grab the center one more time with e4. This is called the Maratse-Bind formation, named after the great Hungarian player Geza Maratse. Usually he pioneered this setup with the bishop on e2 and e3, but the bishop on g2 is just as good. White's got this major control over the center, and black's pieces are really lacking space. For example, this knight is on the way of the bishop. It wants to come back. There's another knight, but it's blocking its own bishop. As a result, this position is really, really bad. White has very nice space for his pieces. Black played a6. That doesn't really change the nature of the game. b5 is extremely difficult to get going. We got too many guys on that square. And knight c2, not a bad move. You can also start with moves like h3 to prepare bishop e3, rook c1, and just build up plan. Knight c2 is fine, of course, as well. The knight could get rerouted. The key problem for black in this structure, this is the dragon formation against the bind, is this e3 outpost. If the knight lands there, black has major problems because e6 will severely weaken this d6 pawn. So he played knight b6. You protect with b3. Interesting moment of tactics, guys. Is knight e4 a good move? I don't think so, right? This guy is unprotected, but we simply give up the exchange for, we got a piece and another piece. So we gave up the rook for two minor pieces and the pawn. Normally, guys, this favors the side with the minor pieces because in the early opening and middle game, minor pieces are way more powerful than the rooks because the rooks are not yet even close to entering the battle. So bishop g4 happened, f3, bishop e6. You're just developing here. So let me just go quickly to the next critical moment. So white is slowly improving all his pieces. I like this a4 to stop any b5 pawn push. Already when black plays moves like that, things are not looking bright. So more regrouping happened, and you got that knight to d5. Again, strategic idea of the opening. You do have a very nice tactical idea of possibly the queen trap after rook fd1 to cover every square. Black wants to trade queens, and white, again, having more pieces on the board, avoids the queen trade. This queen is almost getting trapped, and that's sort of the theme of this game, trapping the queen. Let me just speed it up a little bit here. After rook took, notice there is a pin he cannot take. He played here, and after this knight here, g4. Poor queen is getting trapped. There's absolutely no square for the queen to go.
The round 3 game was where I started to talk to my coach Eugene Perelshteyn and how to have a good psychological thought process and how to play this next game, because I'm playing against a guy that is known for really good opening knowledge, better than me, I can admit. So I know that one time before the tournament, he said that because he knew that I was playing the tournament, he wanted to, quote, break out his opening prep for me. So I was just worried, and I wanted to talk to Eugene Perelshteyn, and I said, what should I do? Eugene, my opponent is saying that he's going to prep for me. Should I do something different to throw him off? And he said, basically in part, that just play what you're best at. And don't psych yourself out, and make sure that the game will be in your basically comfort zone and play a good game.
Yeah, thanks for the intro. And this is a very important thing, guys. When you are facing a very experienced player who is also high-rated player who knows openings, you know, one can try to panic and be afraid of targeted opening prep. But in reality, if you know the type of position you're going to get, that's what you're best at. Don't, you know, abandon everything that you've been working hard for. Just stick to your guns. And yeah, he surprised you a little bit, but you stuck to your guns. You play the setup, which is the double fianchetto, where you put both bishops on the long diagonals. This is a very nice neutralizing setup. I like it a lot. And Cliff tried something weird with rook e1. You simply lock things up with d5. You don't have to do anything. The position is rock solid. The pressure is on your opponent to create something unstable to play for a win. Again, this is rock solid, easy equality from black point of view. And he tried, and eventually he made a pretty big strategic mistake. So far, this is just equal position. Of course, after this, massive trades happen, more equality. But again, psychologically, white was not ready to admit it because he's playing white. He's a high-rated player. He doesn't want to admit failed opening strategy. He wants to play for a win, and he makes a classic mistake, anti-positional capture. This is the most important moment of the game. You can take, of course, with the queen, maintain fluid structure, but lose this tempo, which ultimately does not matter that much because you're going to challenge the position of the rook, king h7, rook c1 with rough equality. But white plays this unorthodox move b takes c, strengthening his center, trying to play for e4. But the biggest problem is his pawns are now broken up. We have a clear target. And from this point on, it's a one-sided game, meaning that black is playing for two results. And you played really well here. So let's just speed up here. You see how all of white's pieces are in total paralysis. Immediately, you could have finished the game with this beautiful tactic. Takes, takes, takes. If queen takes, bishop d4. So that was a very nice finish. Instead, queen a5 continued the pressure on that pawn. Black still maintained a pretty big advantage, and white has no active moves. And knowing Cliff, he doesn't want to sit back, and he plays active moves, which only weakens his king even more. And now I really love this maneuver in queen d8, queen c7, queen c6. This is a picture-perfect position, right, with the timely b4 happening, and this tactic is absolutely crushing. So as the game unfolded, you probably gave him some chances in the resulting rook and pawn endgame. Yes, you're pawn up, but we know rook and pawn endgames are notoriously tough to win. Luckily, though, under a lot of pressure, Cliff collapses here. The only move that keeps the draw is this unusual king g3. He played a logical move to create a protected passer, but the problem is f5, breaking up the pawns, and this is a classic case of two pawns, easy win. You're going to pick up the h-pawn, and you won a beautiful game, 3-0, and you're going into the last round tied for first.
In the last round, I had to talk to my coach again because I never get this scenario before in all my chess career. This chess club championship, I've never been 3-0, and the thoughts of grandeur of potentially win the tournament is a big distraction. So I want to make sure that I got the right mindset going to this round because I'm tied with two other people. There's three people, including me, to have 3 out of 3. And I want to make sure that I don't mess this up because the other two people are going to be playing each other. I'm playing the best player that doesn't have a perfect score. What I do is a mindset going into this game. And he told me, basically, relax, don't do anything risky, just play a good game. And if you have a draw, that's a good result. Still, all the two players were watching my game because my game is really crucial in the results overall. And I was able to overcome this tournament.
Yep, thanks for the intro. And this is a very important point that you made. When you are leading the tournament and you're already one game away from winning it all, it could really get to your head, guys. And in that case, you can either play too aggressively or too passively, or make really bad decisions by thinking about the prizes and such, and that could really impact your game. Instead, you should really channel all the energy that you've been playing, having fun, enjoying the tournament, right? You won the 3 games for a reason, and the pressure is not on you. The pressure is rather on your opponent because he wants to win the game to try to win the tournament. So I thought your mindset was really perfect for this game, to play solid, to stick to your gun. You started knight of 3 d4. This is a very solid way of playing chess. g3, going for the Catalan opening, which is known to be very positional, and you have a very nice bishop on the g2 long diagonal, whereas this guy always passive. Black played this triangle system, supposed to be a fighting system, but in reality, again, this bishop is always having trouble here. Queen c2 is a solid move protecting the pawn, and this is all theory. And Black, again, thinking of playing active, freeing that bishop, plays e5, which is a double-edged move, because now it allowed an IQP situation. You could have taken here. And this position, I believe, White's always a little bit better because of the chronic weakness, the IQP, isolated queen pawn, with the knight coming to d4. But the way you play it is actually quite decent as well. Here, he does have a chance to take on d5 with the knight, or take on c4, which happened. White still maintains a tiny advantage, nevertheless, because, again, the bishop can come to c5, your rooks are already connected, this guy's not developed, but it's very, very small because he has no pawn weaknesses. These pawns are limiting the scope of your bishop. But again, your attitude in this game is, I'm playing solid, let him go after me, and at some point he starts to make mistakes. This aggressive move, okay, already a sign he's not sure if he's playing for a win, and then he keeps playing these aggressive moves, but as a result, his bishop had to retreat, and the knight is now subject to attack with f4. Again, he plays aggressive move yet again, another aggressive move, but you are restricting his pieces. And here, I would already say, with this beautiful pawn chain, with this pressure, White is clearly better. Knight f5 is a very interesting idea, right? If he takes, so great, 2 bishops, the d-file pressure. If he doesn't take, knight's coming to d6. He tried to go for these trades. You could take, or I really love this also knight d6 idea, cementing this knight hitting the rook. You took, which is fine as well. King here, and you brought the rook over to protect the pawn. And this guy is an octopus knight, the knight that is protected by the pawn deep into the enemy territory. It's like tentacles, controls all of these key squares. Very powerful piece. And the game was actually a fighting game because Black did get this pawn on g3. There's, after all, White is attacking, but White is a pawn down. And let's just speed up a little bit to next critical moment. Here, we get into this endgame. And in this endgame, White actually continued to play on, even though you're both under a lot of pressure. He had 1 minute and you got below 5. But the problem is, with 1 minute left, it's very easy to make a mistake and to lose on time. And that's exactly what happened. Black was the first to make the major slip and lose. As long as you kept your calm, you deserved to win the tournament. And that's how you went 4-0 in the club championship. Congratulations.
Hey, check this video out to make sure that you get more important information to bring your chess to the next level.